welcome to the Deep Dive. You're joining us today as we explore, well, the really fascinating science and some smart strategies behind living a longer, healthier life.
Yeah, and we've pulled together quite an interesting mix of sources for you. We're looking at anti-aging supplements, some pretty cutting-edge biohacking techniques.
And even a really personal story from someone who's incredibly about to hit 100 years old.
Our goal here, like always, is to help you kind of cut through the noise and get to what's really important.
Right. We know you want knowledge you can actually use without getting totally swamped in technical jargon.
So we've done the sifting for you, pulling out the core ideas and maybe some surprising facts about how to approach healthy aging.
Exactly. Think of this as your express lane to understanding the key stuff. Okay, let's kick things off by looking at the world of anti-aging supplements.
Yeah, one of our sources really emphasizes that aging isn't just skin deep, it's happening at the cellular level.
Like telomere shortening.
And the buildup of those zombie cells, senescent cells that can drive inflammation.
And the article points to a list, I think it was 12 supplements that are being looked at for potentially influencing these things.
That's right. And what's interesting is how many of them target these really fundamental parts of how our cells work. Take collagen, for instance.
Okay, collagen.
Yeah.
Usually think skin, right?
We do, but it's actually vital for structure skin, yes, but also bones, tendons, and our own production, well, it drops off as we get older. Research suggests that supplementing maybe with collagen peptides, those smaller bits might actually improve skin hydration, elasticity, maybe even get to deeper layers.
Interesting. Okay, what's next? Vitamin A.
Yeah, vitamin A. Crucial for immune function, how our cells talk to each other, vision too. Low levels are linked to eye problems, as you might expect.
Right. And you've got different ways to measure it. RAE, IU can be a bit confusing.
It can. And then there's vitamin D, so much more than just bones, isn't it?
Definitely seems that way.
It plays a role in tamping down inflammation, cell growth, muscle function, immune response, even how we handle glucose.
And most of us don't get enough. From sun or food.
Often not, no. So supplementation is something many people look into. The recommendation for men is often around 600 IUs daily, but that can vary.
Okay. Then curcumin, that's from turmeric.
That's the one, known for its anti-inflammatory power. The tricky part is it's not absorbed super well just from eating turmeric.
Ah, so supplements might offer a more concentrated hit.
Potentially, yeah. They're looking at it for memory, maybe helping with age-related conditions like cancer or diabetes, even joint function and osteoarthritis.
And resveratrol, that's the one in grapes.
Grapes, blueberries, peanuts, yeah. It's a polyphenol. The interest there is around reducing oxidative stress, inflammation linked to aging, and possibly boosting mitochondrial function.
Those cellular powerhouses again.
Exactly. And potentially reducing risks for things like diabetes, cancer, maybe even Alzheimer's.
Now this next one's fascinating. Zinc. We know it's important for immunity.
Right, and cell division, antioxidant activity.
But the source says levels in the brain can decrease with age.
Yeah, which is why there's interest in whether supplementing could help with cognitive function, memory, maybe reducing oxidative stress right there in the neurons.
Okay, and then nicotinamide riboside, NR. Bit of a mouthful.
Yeah. It's a form of vitamin B, and it's a precursor to NAD plus MAR.
NAD plus bar. That comes up a lot in longevity discussions.
It really does. NAD plus is absolutely vital. Cell survival, metabolism, immunity, repairing DNA, you name it.
And our levels decline as we age, which is linked to age-related diseases.
That seems to be the connection, yes. So the idea is, can we boost NAD plus mate? NR supplementation is one way being explored, and animal studies suggest it might work to restore those levels.
Promising. What about CoQ10? I feel like I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it's another antioxidant. It might also help with preventing blood clots. Its role in neurological diseases is still kind of up in the air. Studies are a bit inconclusive.
But people with chronic diseases often have lower levels.
They do, which suggests that maybe supplementing could help with some aging symptoms or perhaps slow down disease onset. It's suggestive anyway.
We're really covering some ground here. Crocin. That's from saffron.
Right, a carotenoid. Associated with potentially warding off cognitive decline, anti-inflammatory effects, maybe even some anti-cancer activity.
And skin aging, too. UV protection.
Possibly, yeah. And it might help with insulin resistance and blood sugar control in type 2 diabetes. Lots of potential areas.
Okay. Fish oil, omega-3s, heart health.
That's the classic association, lower blood pressure, triglycerides, maybe better HDL. But there's also research looking at mental health, like depression and mood.
And aging markers, like telomeres.
Yeah, some studies suggest it might improve markers like telomere shortening and lower inflammation. Still being researched, of course.
Got it. Merely there. Vitamin K.
Vitamin K seems important for inflammation and pathways that might protect bone and heart health. Could be particularly relevant for people with the ApoE4 gene linked to Alzheimer's risk.
And it can be hard to get enough just from food.
It can be, yeah. So again, supplementation is something people consider.
And finally, vitamin C. Good old vitamin C.
Can't forget C, associated with better cognitive performance, memory, speed, attention, and you get benefits from food and supplements.
Plus, it's essential for making collagen, right?
Right.
And antioxidant protection for the skin against UV damage.
Exactly. So you see a pattern here. A lot of these are targeting inflammation, oxidative stress, cellular energy, core aging processes.
It's a really comprehensive list. But the big caveat, always.
Absolutely. Check with your doctor or healthcare provider before adding any new supplements. That's crucial.
Yeah, what works for one person might not be right or even safe for another, especially thinking about interactions with medications.
Definitely. Okay, so let's shift gears a little. Let's talk about biohacking for longevity.
Biohacking. Sounds intense. What's the definition here?
Well, our source defines it as making these targeted lifestyle and biological changes. The goal is to optimize health, extend lifespan, and really boost your quality of life.
So broader than just popping pills.
Much broader. And it brings in epigenetics, that idea that our genes aren't our destiny necessarily.
Right. Our lifestyle can influence how our genes behave.
Exactly. And the source points out common threads in centenarians people living past 100. Nutrient-rich diet, regular movement, strong social ties, managing stress, good sleep.
Sounds like pretty solid life advice, actually, the fundamentals.
Yeah, they are the fundamentals, yeah. And biohacking strategies really try to amplify those. Take diet and fasting.
Okay, like caloric restriction, intermittent fasting.
Things like the 16.8 method. The idea is they can trigger autophagy, that cellular cleanup process we mentioned.
Getting rid of the junk.
Sort of, yeah. And the tips are sensible. Whole foods, less sugar and processed carbs, healthy fats like omega-3s, plant proteins, lean meats.
But the fasting aspect is key for biohacking, reducing inflammation, boosting brain function.
That's a big part of it, yes. Then there's exercise, not just moving, but specific types.
Like HIIT, high-intensity interval training.
Right, great for cardio.
Yeah.
And strength training is vital to fight off muscle loss as we age.
But gentle movement counts too. Walking, yoga.
Absolutely. Walking, stretching, yoga, tai chi, all recognized for benefits. Exercise also stimulates something called BDNF.
Brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Helps the brain.
Crucial for brain health, yeah.
Yeah.
And improves mitochondrial function, too. Another reason to keep moving.
Makes sense. What about sleep?
Oh, sleep is presented as totally non-negotiable. Crucial for repair, regeneration. Poor sleep basically accelerates aging.
Yikes. Tips are things like a consistent schedule, less blue light at night.
Yeah, blackout curtains, relaxation techniques, maybe magnesium. And they cite a study 7 to 9 hours linked to lower risk of cognitive decline. Really underlines how vital it is.
Okay. Stress management. We all know chronic stress is bad.
And the article explains why it increases inflammation, shortens telomeres. Biohacking tips here include mindfulness, meditation, getting out in nature.
Breath work, journaling, socializing.
All of those. Tools to kind of counteract the negative effects of stress.
It's amazing how connected everything is.
Yeah.
The article then loops back to some supplements we already talked about.
It does. Resveratrol, NMN, which is related to NR, curcumin, CoQ10, collagen peptides, but it frames them in this biohacking context.
Linking them to things like activating longevity genes or boosting NAD+ pursuit.
Exactly. Suggesting supplements can be part of a bigger biohacking plan, working alongside those lifestyle changes.
So it's not an either.
Not necessarily, no. It reinforces that a multi-pronged approach is probably best. The article even touches on more advanced stuff.
Like senolytics, clearing out zombie cells.
Yeah, and personalized medicine, using AI maybe to create tailored longevity plans. That's really cutting-edge stuff.
Wow. And dental health, linked to longevity.
Too new, right. But there's a link to heart disease, diabetes, inflammation generally, so taking care of your mouth matters.
Oil pulling. Hydroxybutyrate toothpaste. Interesting tips.
They are. And then there's the tech side. Wearables. Oura Ring, WHOP, continuous glucose monitors.
Give you data about yourself.
Precisely. Sleep quality, activity, blood sugar responses. It allows for much more fine-tuning of your habits. Red light therapy gets a mention too.
And finally, something often overlooked. Social connection.
Hugely important. Strong relationships are linked to longer, healthier lives. Loneliness is actually seen as a significant health risk, like smoking or obesity.
Really? That's significant.
Apparently so. The tips are about actively building community, prioritizing relationships, volunteering, finding purpose.
It paints a really holistic picture, doesn't it? Diet, movement, sleep, stress, social life, even dental care, with supplements and tech as potential tools.
Absolutely. Now let's bring this to life with a personal story. Paul M. Wilson, 98 years old, expecting to hit 100.
And his story is amazing because he had a major heart attack at 74, a massive blockage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really shows how making big lifestyle shifts can change your trajectory even later in life. He says he's surprised he's lived this long.
And after recovery, he didn't just rely on meds.
No, he really took charge, researched vitamins, minerals, supplements, natural products, changed his diet completely, started exercising daily, kept up with his doctors, of course.
His commitment sounds incredible. And his daily routine. Wow. That morning smoothie alone.
It's quite the concoction. Juice, coconut milk, banana, protein powder, L-glutamine, moringa, spirulina, Dr. Gundry's Vital Red.
And that's before the vitamins and minerals.
Then he adds C, B, D, E, zinc, magnesium.
And more supplements. Fish oil, turmeric ginger, CoQ10, focus factor, cool cayenne.
It's extensive. It really shows a very personalized, proactive approach. He clearly found things he believes work for him.
Even an afternoon pick-me-up with Sembicol and herbal liquids.
Yep, focus on immunity there. And little things like olive oil and balsamic vinegar daily, skincare choices, pain relief ointment, it's all part of his system.
His diet sounds balanced, nutritious lunch, protein drink for supper, lots of water.
Sensible foundation. And his exercise routine at 98. Daily vibration machine use, stretching, walking over a mile, plus weekly golf.
That's impressive. He admits it might seem complicated or costly.
But he credits it with his longevity and his quality of life. It works for him.
What really strikes me is that commitment and how tailored it is. He didn't just follow generic advice.
No, he researched, he experimented, he found his path, always alongside professional medical care. It really illustrates those broader principles we discussed.
It really does. Okay, one more angle before we wrap up. How is longevity thinking influencing the cosmetics world? Scilab's perspective is interesting here.
Yeah, it's a shift from just anti-aging to what they call well-aging, supporting healthy aging, not just fighting wrinkles.
More holistic.
Exactly. It reflects that deeper understanding of aging as a biological process. Scilab leverages longevity science, looking at those key biological pathways, those markers of aging. I think they mentioned 12 key ones.
And they develop ingredients based on that science.
Right. Targeting specific hallmarks of aging.
Right.
They have ingredients aimed at, say, epigenetics, how genes are expressed. Others focused on proteostasis, keeping proteins healthy inside cells.
And autophagy, that cleanup process. Mitochondria again.
Yep, ingredients targeting those two. And others aimed at senescent cells, chronic inflammation, even the skin's microbiome, the bacteria living on our skin.
So cosmetic ingredients are getting much more targeted at the underlying biology of aging skin.
That's the idea. Moving beyond just surface effects to address the mechanisms. It shows how this whole longevity field is impacting various industries, including beauty.
Fascinating. Okay, so as we kind of bring this deep dive to a close, we've covered a lot. Specific supplements, broad biohacking strategies, an inspiring personal journey, even cosmetics.
Yeah, I think the main takeaway is that extending health span, maybe lifespan, it's definitely multifaceted. There's no single magic bullet.
It involves understanding the biology, making informed choices across diet, exercise, sleep, stress, social connection.
And maybe using supplements or tech strategically with guidance. It's about combining science-backed approaches with what works for you personally.
Right. So here's a final thought for you, the listener. Reflecting on everything we've discussed, supplements, the biohacks, Paul's story, the different angles, what's one single change you could make starting today that you feel might have the biggest positive impact on your own long-term health and well-being?
Maybe it's looking into one of these areas further, talking to your doctor about a supplement, or maybe it's simpler, committing to better sleep or calling a friend.
Something to think about. We hope this deep dive gave you some valuable insights. Thanks for joining us.